I don't know. I've been through these types of fears before with my brothers and my sisters and my sister, where like accidents, freak accidents happen or something like that. And you just, at the moment, you don't know how to take it all in, because it's so like, what the heck?
Warning. The podcast you're about to listen to may contain graphic descriptions of violent assaults, murder, and adult language. Listener discretion is advised. Welcome back to the Murder Police Podcast. In today's episode, we will continue Never Forget Little Timmy. This is part 1 of 2 of an interview with one of Timmy's very best friends, Randall Smith. Welcome to the Murder Police Podcast. We have with us today Mr. Randall here to talk about the missing case of little Timmy Sterner.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you, Randall, for coming. We appreciate that. So I didn't get to meet you, and I came in here expecting somebody different, and you're this handsome young man, and I didn't think that you were going to be an ugly old man, but I just had in my mind a different face. So. Yeah. What a pleasant surprise. But again, thank you for coming, Randall.
It's no problem. I'm glad to be here.
Well, Randall, because I didn't get in on the inside scoop earlier, I truly don't know any information, so I'm genuinely intrigued. Tell me, how did you know little Timmy?
Oh, it goes way, way back. Like we were like 12, 13 or whatever. And I went to my aunt's house, and he was there. And, I seen kids outside playing basketball, so I went outside playing basketball, and a conversation, started, and, we went from there, and, he asked me how old I was, and I was like, well, I'll be 13 in like a couple days or whatever. And he was like, oh, I'm already 13. And, he wanted to be that older person, he wanted to be the oldest, I guess, and, that sparked like a competitive brother-like type thing right there from the start,
There we go.
And, so it come to find out later that night, I was talking to my cousin, because that's where we was at, my aunt's and my cousin's house. And, how old is he? And she was like, he's like 12. He lied to me, and, she was like, and then I went to him, and he was like, yeah, this is my birthday, it's like November 4th, 1996, whatever. And I was like, well, you lied to me, and, that's how it started, we was friends ever since that day.
So you all met when you were, the ripe age of almost 13 and 12. Mm-hmm. So I guess you all just became close. Did you go to school together?
Yeah, we did go to school together. We went to high school together because I moved around a lot. So I went to like a lot of different elementary schools and middle schools. I went to like middle school in Harrisburg, and then one in Nicholasville. So, I didn't really know where he was at school. So.
And then you reconnected in high school.
We reconnected in high school,
and you're like, I remember you. Mm-hmm. You lied about your age.
Yeah. No, I mean, I knew him before high school. Like, so like when you're talking about the schools, so like that's where we spent a lot of time together at school, in high school. But I also knew him outside of the school through my family.
So you all still kind of hung out from then on.
Yeah.
Even though you switched schools.
Oh, yeah.
So you had a long-time friendship with him.
Oh, yeah. It went on. It's still going today.
Yeah. What kind of fun stuff did you all do when you were at the aunt's? Just play ball and hang out?
Yeah, played basketball, hung out, argued a lot, as young boys did, argued a lot about the game stuff. So, yeah, that's pretty much all we did at my aunt's house. And then I remember, one time I was probably like 14 or whatever, and I lived in the back of Southbrook, his neighborhood, and he came rolling up on a little mini bike, and I remember wrecking that and stuff like that. Riding his bike around. It was a little black mini bike he had. So
you all just had a lot of boy fun memories.
Yeah. As we got older, we started hanging out with girls and stuff like that. Just regular
teen boy stuff.
I don't know. We were just when we were with our clique of friends, we just always shooting the crap, just talking, we played basketball together, played video games together a lot, because when I lived with my aunt for a while, and I had an Xbox, and me and him would fight over that game. We played. There was an NBA street ball that we played a lot, and Call of Duty. So yeah.
Well, that's always fun. We've got a teen, and he and his friends, same thing. And it's funny how it evolved from back when you play street ball literally out in the yard, and now these guys, they're all get on at the same time, and they've got their headset on, and they're talking to each other, and it's like they're having the best time, and you can hear them in there laughing, and they're all playing the game together remotely.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of neat that I guess that's just a boy thing.
Yeah.
Well, how fun. So we know that there, after a while, Timmy went away for a little bit. And did you all stay in contact during that time he was gone?
We did. Yeah. So he had a girlfriend before he went in, and I got in contact with her. I was like, how do I, contact Timmy, and she gave me the information through like a little app or whatever. And I did that a couple times because, I work outside and my phone gets broke a lot, and I had to get a new phone and re-download all of it. So, I'd send him some money here and there to get him some like food or whatever. I don't know what prison's like. So like I would just send him a couple $100 here or there so he can get
to help him out.
I don't know what anybody else is doing for him in there. So I would just, throw him a couple $100 to get him through a couple weeks or whatever,
Wow.
That's a good friend.
That is really
he sent me some letters. I sent him some letters back. And yeah, I mean, that was a rough 7 years of him being gone because I was with him every day before he went.
Sure.
So
Probably
I mean, not every day, but like a lot of the time.
Yeah, just a real good friend. You all stayed in touch. That's really sweet that you did that. I can't say that there's too many people I know that would reach out and do that.
Timmy, it's hard to forget about Timmy, whether he's there or not, when you're a good friend with Timmy, you're always, here and there, you're thinking about him, so just the imprint that he would put on you. This is my favorite part about Timmy. He was probably like 5'5", right? But whenever he spoke, his demeanor, just who he was in general, he was that younger, bigger brother that everybody needed, you know what I mean? But when you looked at him, he was a short guy, but when he talked and he carried himself in a protective type of way, you swear he was 6 foot, 7 foot tall,
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like me.
That's right. Because you're a big guy.
Yeah. I'm
very intimidating.
So, I mean, that's the big thing, when you're talking about, how can you describe him or whatever.
He was just bigger than life, wasn't he?
He
kind
was,
of.
Yeah. He just always wanted to be the big guy in the room. He wanted to be that protector. He wanted to be that,
center of attention.
No, I don't know about the center of attention, but like if, he always wanted to make sure everybody around him was good. Everybody
taking care
of everybody.
Yeah. And I think that's what tied me and him so close together because I'm that type of person,
Gotcha.
And I looked out for him and he looked out for me, and that's just who he was, and that's the biggest thing that I could ever. That's the best thing I can remember about him.
He gave enough of himself to other people.
Yes, yeah. He would give his all. If he called you brother, friend, family, I'm gonna let you know he would not go to war with you. He would let you sit at home and he would go to war for you.
Wow.
That's how Timmy was.
That's what we're gathering.
He liked tattoos. He liked having a good time. He liked clothes. He liked looking. He had to look good everywhere. He tried to look good everywhere he went. Me and him, we didn't have a lot. I would say, and he made, I don't know, just he tried to make sure his appearance was always clean cut.
Yeah.
He took pride in that. That's really what his clothes. He liked his clothes a lot. Like he would wear 2 shirts. And like I remember like I don't know if you would classify it as a hobby or not, but and I don't know where I'm trying to go with it, but he would go home, all right, say that we go to the basketball court and we're just sitting there. We're not even sweating, we're not doing nothing, right? He had just put these clothes on 2 hours ago. He would go back down to his grandma's house and grab a new shirt out of the dresser and put a new shirt, just to make sure he looked good everywhere he was going, And
so he was prideful.
Yeah.
Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah,
because
that's
as far as
right. Very,
appearances, stuff like
very
that,
took
too.
a lot of pride in who he
Very
was.
much so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And that's one of the funniest things I'll always remember is whenever he went into his house and grabbed a brand new shirt and threw it in the dryer, and I was like, bro, you just got dressed like 2 hours ago. He was like, yeah, but this shirt's not fresh anymore. And I'm like, what are we talking about?
We've just been setting.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to sound disrespectful or anything like that, but Timmy had a set type, they had to carry themselves well, you know what I mean? They had to make sure that the girls that he was into made sure that they could handle their own, because Timmy's a strong-minded guy, so he's not, he never wanted like a weak-minded female, he was always into more mature girls,
Wow.
that carried herself okay or was able to handle their own if they needed to.
Okay.
And all the girls that he ever dated that I've ever seen him date were like hot, like if I hope my fiance don't hear me, but like, they were hot, so.
They weren't as beautiful as my fiance.
Yeah, they're not as beautiful as my fiance, but
he liked pretty girls.
He liked pretty girls, Gotcha. He wasn't the one to settle for whatever,
Well, so you helped Timmy when he was incarcerated.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when you were hearing I'm about to get out?
I didn't know he was about to get out. So like the last couple of years, I would message like his cousin or somebody and say, hey, what's the word on Timmy or whatever. But I never had a set date ever, when he was getting out. So.
Hey, everybody, it's David. If you follow us on social media, you know that I travel a lot, teaching leadership across the country to police executives. I love to travel, but sometimes when you travel, you can get food fatigue and get wore out. But every now and then you find a gem, and I want to share a gem in Harrisonville, Missouri called 1886 with you right now, just outside Kansas City, Missouri. I stumbled across this beautiful restaurant in downtown Harrisonville and a fantastic menu of food that we kept going back for throughout the week. So if you're in the area of Kansas City, slide south a little bit, go to Harrisonville, and go to 1886 and grab a bite to eat. And when you do, tell them David with the Murder Police Podcast says hello.
Whenever he got out, my birthday was on the 5th, right? And I went out of town for that weekend and came back. And that night, on Sunday night, I got a friend request from Timmy Sterner on Facebook, and I'm laying in bed and I look over at my woman and I'm like, look at this. I was like, that's Timmy. And so I accept it, off top I accept it. And I immediately message him and I'm like, hello. And he messaged me back and we get into a little conversation, which I'm getting ready for bed at that time. So the conversation, carried for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then he had responded and I was already asleep. But yeah, I mean, I had no idea he was getting out. It was a shocker. It was probably the best birthday gift I could have ever, asked for. And I will always cherish those last few conversations that I had, because I don't know, after 7 years not seeing him, and then boom, he's there days after your birthday.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's crazy. It was amazing.
Now, did you all set up hopes of, let's get together tomorrow or Tuesday or,
He was trying to link up and stuff like that. But in April, my schedule's so full, because I own a business and I run a business in Lexington. So I do a business on the side. So if I work, 7:30 to 4:30, I get straight off work and I go do my jobs for my own company. And then I had my kid, he's in T-ball. So we doing like 3 practices a week. And then the games on the weekend, early in the morning, 6, or they can go all day or whatever. So, I wasn't against it. And now thinking about it, looking back on it, I was like, man, I wish I would have set something up or tried to set something up. But I just, I was like, man, I just don't do much linking up anymore. My life is just so cram-packed full of everything, 7 years is a lot to, my life has changed a lot in 7 years. It's got a kid now, got a job, starting a business, running the business, doing this and doing that. he wanted to come over the night, I guess, that he went missing, and it was 8:30. So if I was to hang out with anybody, it would have to be from the time that I get off work, or and probably right before dark, right before I'm eating dinner or something like that, so I can get wound down and ready for bed and get my kid in the bed and stuff like that. Like a normal adult
Routine
life,
with a kid, a family, yeah.
Family life. That eats me up every day that I didn't say, yeah, come over, Instead, I was like, yeah, it's 8:30. It's kind of late. Let's link up like maybe tomorrow or something like that. And that's probably been the worst thing that's been stuck in my head for the last few months. So, growing up with Timmy, he'd been in and out of juvie a few times, and come back home, mostly for missing school or whatever, hanging out with girls or whatever he was doing, and he'd come back home, and we'd all get back together, and you just never expect something like this to ever happen. So, I just figured that we would just hang out, on a weekend or, something, and right before he went to, I guess, prison, he, I think he had did like a jail stint in Nicholasville or something. I'm not real sure, but he got out after a couple months, and I took him to the mall, showed him my new car because I got a new car, and he was like, "This thing's ignorant." Like, I'll never forget. Like, we was doing donuts and getting sideways in it, and took him to the mall and got him some new clothes and stuff like that. And that's the last time that I seen him in person was right before he went and did that 7 years. And yeah, I don't know. I wish I would have set something up with him.
Yeah.
So David had mentioned something, since I wasn't here, I was late, like usual. So you mentioned something to the effect of a FaceTime. I'm intrigued. Tell me about the FaceTime. I just heard FaceTime.
Okay, so that Sunday night when he had sent me a friend request and we talked, right, he had messaged, but I'd left the conversation and fell asleep. Well, I picked it back up after I had already gotten to work at my work truck and seen that he was online. So I was like, you know what, I'm not going to respond. I'm just going to call him. Let's video call him. And he answered it, and we talked for like 5 or 10 minutes, and talked about what was prison like. Because I've never been. He was like, don't go, don't go, and.
What time in the morning was that?
It was probably like 7:30, 7:45. It was right whenever I first got there. It was early. And he was telling me he ain't been to bed yet. He'd been so excited to be home. And, just you couldn't fit a whole 7 years in a conversation, because he was, I don't know, that he was trying to go to his POs that morning too. So we had ended the conversation after about 10 minutes, and, I'm at work. But, just seeing his face, grown man Timmy, was crazy. Like, he had facial hair.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling at 28. I cannot grow it. Yeah. And I'm seeing Timmy. I'm like, man, you got a beard. I was like, that's cool. I wish I had one of those. And he was like, well, you'll get one. He said something. So like he had got this like accent, I guess, from being incarcerated for so long. He said something, and it just cracked me up. I don't remember what he was like. You'll get there, but he used some like, I guess, jail slang terminology or whatever it was. And I was like, what the hell is that?
Another language.
I was like, but. That's I don't know. I will always cherish that car.
So you got to see him.
Well, not
awesome.
in person.
I mean, on the video.
Yeah, on the video, I got to see him. Yeah, I got to see him and see grown up man Timmy. I was like, that's crazy, because 7 years ago when you went in there,
he probably looked like you today, age
12. Yeah, your face was baby butt smooth, man. I was like, you got a full beard.
So you all had your little video chat, and then you go on to work.
Yep, and I didn't hear from him that whole day until about 8:30. And he was like, hey, man, he asked me if I was in town or something like that, or he said I'm in town, and I was like, he asked me what I was doing or something, and he was like, I'm in town, can I come over or whatever? And I was like, it's 8:30, it's kind of late, April, it's starting to get dark around 8:30, and the kid's trying to go to bed, and I was like, but not tonight, it's 8:30. Yeah, I regret that. I wish I would have told him to come over, because
hindsight's always 20/20, as they say.
So you all ended it with, maybe another time.
Yeah, and I told him that my life had changed. I got a kid now. Hanging out at like 8:30 is kind of crazy. Whenever I'm trying to get kid to bed, I didn't go that depth into it. I was just said my life has changed a lot, and he said it's all good, big head or something like that. I was like, what does that mean? And we ended the conversation on "I love you, bro," and I said, "I love you too, dog."
So you were maybe going to talk in a couple more days or something.
Mhm.
So then I guess you find out. When do you find out he went
I
missing?
found out. I would have think it was Thursday. And when my aunt called me, because I had no idea. I had no idea it was Thursday, and she called me and she was like, "Have you seen Timmy? Is he at your house?" And I was like, "No, he's not with me." And she was like, "Well," she ran me down on the story of what was going on, and I was like, "That's not like Timmy." I mean, with the story that I've heard, it's not that he wouldn't do that. He just wouldn't do it. Not not grown up Timmy, not teenage 18-year-old Timmy. He just wouldn't do nothing like that. It didn't make sense. The story just didn't make sense, and I was like, no. So I started I messaged his Facebook. I was like, "Hey, yo," and nothing. So that's when I was like panicking because I heard, the way the story happened is I don't know if I can go into it, but he wrecked a car out in the country. Timmy's not a country guy. Mm-hmm. If he left a scene miles out into the country of a car wreck miles out into the country, even me,
that's just
in
unusual.
April, it's cold at nighttime and it rained for weeks, days,
Yeah, it was a wet spring.
That's not Timmy's. He's not leaving that road, period. He's not going out into the woods.
He's not going to get them clothes wet, is he?
I don't know if he's going to get the clothes wet, but I know that he's not going to leave the road. So when I heard that, I was like, nah, Timmy's not going out in them dang woods. Not dark. No. Yeah. So, yeah, that's,
Because that's down by River Road. It's pretty rural, it's kind of a holler.
It's far down in there, and that's... Timmy's not going in the woods on a good day. Mm-hmm. He don't like being in the woods during the day. Yeah.
Let alone rain and dark.
Rain and dark. Mm-hmm. It's not happening.
So you had an uneasy feeling and you're like, something don't sound right.
The whole story just didn't make sense. He drove a car down there. He ended up stealing somebody else's car, wrecked it, ran off into the woods apparently, or whatever the story is that I was told. And I was like, that's not right. Why would you steal somebody else's car when you left that car? You drove a car there. Right. It's not right. But
so then it didn't set well with you, and you're thinking, well, maybe somebody hear from him tomorrow or something. Well, or did you know then something just isn't going to be right out of this?
There's a fear, a panic when something like this happens with so I don't know. I've been through these types of fears before with my brothers and my sisters and my sister, where like freak accidents happen or something like that. And you just, at the moment, you don't know how to take it all in, because it's so like, what the heck, and your mind can only process things so fast and understand things. So I just had this feeling, inside that was like, it's just off, whenever somebody so well, like me and his family do, because I classify his grandma as my grandma, his uncle is my uncle, So when you know somebody as well as we know Timmy, something was just off and nobody had heard, and his phone was broke. I know for a fact that Timmy is not going to be out in Boone land.
That's an important
with
thing
a broken phone. He's not going to break his phone. Then people said that he broke his phone or whatever. I'm not trying to get in on. I'm not sure what I'm allowed to say or whatever. But it just, whenever I heard all the key facts, the key points of what everybody else was told, because they had already had, I guess, the night of the 9th, and then I guess that following day before I even heard about it, to unravel things, with people down there.
There's a lot of rumors and a lot which is natural in something like this.
Yeah.
But you're like a lot of people. The people we've talked to so far are like you. A and B are not coming to C, and there's
No.
And
Just
the
didn't
new
add
one
up.
we have now is you talking about him just not being in the boonies, as you say, or wanting
He's
to be
not
in
a
the boonies.
country guy. He
Yeah.
was not. You know, if we went out, I've never been out like to somebody's house in the country at nighttime with him, but I know that we would go hiking or something like that. He hated it. He hated that.
Yeah.
He did not like being outside in the country. He
Mhm.
did not, you
That's
know.
funny.
So like we'd go out and hike or whatever, you know, like to Indian Falls with my brother and our friend Justin, you know, we'd go out there. And he did not like, he was like I recall one time we got back to my house in Longview when I lived in Longview, and he was like, thank God we're back home.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, it wasn't that bad. He was like, no, I'm sweating. I need new clothes. I need a shower. That man would take a shower 3 or 4 times a day if he could. And even though Timmy had been gone a long time, that didn't change on how Timmy was. Timmy was not being in them woods.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. It's just, no.
So then I guess that was that Thursday you found out, and you tried to message him and nothing.
Nothing.
And then
And
Friday you're probably still trying. Hey, you know there's more to the story, so go download the next episode like the true crime fan that you are.
The Murder Police podcast is hosted by Wendy and David Lyons and was created to honor the lives of crime victims, so their names are never forgotten. It is produced, recorded, and edited by David Lyons. The Murder Police podcast can be found on your favorite Apple or Android podcast platform, as well as at murderpolicepodcast.com, where you will find show notes, transcripts, information about our presenters, and a link to the official Murder Police Podcast merch store, where you can purchase a huge variety of Murder Police Podcast swag. We are also on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, which is closed caption for those that are hearing impaired. Just search for the Murder Police Podcast and you will find us. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe for more and give us 5 stars and a written review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you download your podcasts. Make sure you set your player to automatically download new episodes so you get the new ones as soon as they drop. And please tell your friends. Lock it down, Judy.